Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly breakdown of the latest and greatest in movies, TV, music, and video games. Not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us today on this fine Media Boat podcast. It is September. We are in the last part of the year here, the home stretch, folks. September the 3rd, 2024. This meeting is being recorded, and I need to press the OK. There we go. Forgot that step. And yeah, this is episode 451 today.
Yes, so if you'd like to join us for our 450 celebration, you can do so in your podcasting feed. Otherwise, we roll on over into 500 land.
500 land.
And it's going to be so magical when we reach it, full of rainbows and
Yes.
sunshine and puppies and money.
Money? Money? We're gonna get money from this?
That's why it's
It's a
last on the
miracle
list.
at long last.
All right,
Anyway,
but anyways, we gotta get a show rolling. So we're gonna start with the music section. Start the music section with the Billboard, and start the Billboard with the Hot 100. The hottest song in the land is still a bar song, "Tipsy" by Shabuzi. Coming at two is 2, 3, 4. It's all Sabrina Carpenter. Looks like
yes,
that album was a hit for her.
turns
As we
out.
have Taste at number 2 by Sabrina Carpenter. At 3, Please, Please, Please by Sabrina Carpenter. And number 4, Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter.
Yes.
And then rounding out your top 5, I Had Some Help by Post Malone featuring Morgan Wallen.
Yep.
So yeah, looks like that album hit. It charted those 2 singles, Please, 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 and Espresso, that were already out, made their way back to the top 5, and then Taste, the new single off of it. Everyone's
Yep.
listening to it.
A sales success in its first week. It's also,
Your number 1 album adds the Billboard
yes.
200 charts, topping it in its debut. Short and Sweet is your number 1 album. At 2, Days Before the Rodeo by Travis Scott. And we're still listening to Travis Scott because dot
Well,
dot dot fill in the
es-
blank.
this is an especially weird one this week because this is not a new release. You probably wonders like, where did this come from? We didn't talk about this in new releases last week. That's because this is a vinyl issue. I feel like the first vinyl issue of a 2014 mixtape from Travis Scott, but it sold well enough to chart here.
Hmm. And that's all we're going to talk about Travis Scott then.
Yeah,
At
that's it.
3, F1 Trillion by Post Malone. Coming in at 4, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess by Chappell Roan. And rounding out your top 5, One Thing at a Time by Morgan Wallen.
Yep.
If you like any of those albums, we have new releases, starting with Luck and Strange by David Gilmour, 10 Days by Fred Again, Cowboys and Dreamers by George Strait. Yes, that George Strait. Viva Hines by Hines. Hines, Wines,
I think
Wins.
it's Heinz.
We also have Born Horses by Mercury Rev. Manning Fireworks by MJ Lenderman. Infinite Icon by Paris Hilton.
Yes,
Yes,
that Paris
that
Hilton.
Paris Hilton. We have something called Ensoulment by the
Sure.
or the or the
Or
or
the.
the. Depends on how
I
you
don't
want
know.
to stress that out.
Yeah.
But not to be outdone. Lastly on this list, Whole Earth by Toro y Moi.
Yep.
And that is whole without the W.
Doesn't need it.
Also Earth without the A.
No,
Doesn't need it.
doesn't need it.
Doesn't need the A hole in the middle of Earth.
Exactly. No one, there's already plenty of them, so we don't need more.
One less a hole in Earth. All right, let's get into some music news. And we start with Lady Gaga, as she has announced that she will be dropping the first single from her forthcoming, get this, seventh studio album this October.
Yes.
Gaga, who arrived in Venice over the weekend ahead of the premiere of Joker, Folie à Deux, teased the news in an Instagram post. She also posted a video of her Venice schedule for the week. For October, Gaga marked XX October, LG7 first single, which likely means the album is due late this year or early next year.
Yeah, I think it's time. She recently performed at the Olympics,
Mhm.
and has been been doing, the award show circuit lately, and just released a new single accompanied by Bruno Mars, which will presumably mostly be a Bruno Mars single and less of a Lady Gaga single. But this shows right here first signs of a new album rollout. So Lady Gaga has returned.
So it's the first one since Chromatica, correct?
Correct, from 2020. So
Yep,
yeah, it'll be about 5 years. So that checks out.
that was 2020.
Yeah.
When you said that, I was like, oh yeah, it was only 2 years ago.
Yeah,
No,
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 that was 2020 because it was one of the 2020 dance records where it was like, we can't dance to this. We're at
yes.
home. Yeah.
But yeah, so Lady Gaga, new movie, new single, new
Hmm.
album, new Gaga. Well, we had Gaga from the Olympics, but
Yeah.
new Gaga.
New Gaga.
Yes. What you don't have here, listen here, is the Adele news, though.
No. No, I don't have it.
Yes, Adele will be stepping away and hiding out for
Right,
an
right, 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 right,
indefinite
right.
period.
I had forgotten about this.
Yes, this well, that's because it was before the very, very, very long weekend. In order to kind of bury the story ahead of the very, very, very long weekend. But yeah, Adele will be going on hiatus. She'll stop touring. She'll stop singing. She'll kind of backing away for an unspecified amount of time.
I mean, do
Um,
you really blame her? She has a kid to take care of. She has put out a billion records that have been like amazing, like sales successes. Like she doesn't really need, and she just got done with this residency. She doesn't
mhm.
need more money right now. So let her relax. Let her chill for a sec.
Let her be a mom before she
Yeah.
comes out with mom record,
Well, I mean,
or
I
it's Kelly Clarkson
guess.
cornered that market.
Yeah, maybe.
Mom pop. All right. Kid music. Good segue because we're going to talk about kid music and thoughts here
There you
as
go.
we talk about the legend, John. I forgot,
Yes.
or is it the legend? Is it the legend or the legend?
Something like that. But yes, John Legend, and this is a collaborative thing, though, right? It's not just
Yes,
him.
with Suvan Stevenson.
Yes, Sufjan Stevens, who some people might recognize as recently having one of his albums adapted into the almost Tony winning, should have won Best musical, Illinois. That same Sufjan Stevens. So yes.
So yeah, he's come out with a new album titled "My Favorite Dream," which is a picture of him as a child on it. But this is also not a kind of an as expected record from him. It's kind of a different take. It's a kids album.
Right.
Although labeling it as a kids album is kind of I want to say it's unfair stretch because it's not like your traditional kids songs. It's more
Sure.
about John Legend singing to his kid these songs. that are
Okay.
more like kind of like kid related and song related. Especially when you have like Three Little Birds on here, his own rendition on it.
Hmm.
I think it's a new song called Love, 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 which also has his wife and child on it singing in a harmonious chorus. So if you have kids and you want to put on some kid-friendly, safe music, this is a pretty good album to have them listen to.
Okay.
Like that's like a very narrow subset of people.
You know what?
As
You'd
if
think
you're
that.
outside, you think that, but if you're outside of that and you just want to listen to something that's like happy and nice and well, John Legend has like great vocals, obviously. Uh, but just something that's like that feels make you feel good. My
Sure.
favorite dream kind of does that.
Okay.
I had to enjoy a good joy enjoying listening to this music because it filled me with some all this goodness and joyfulness.
Do
And it's
you
like
do you think it would be a good fit for, say, if I knew a children's librarian who always is looking for new songs to play before story time?
yeah, it's
Okay.
a great album for that. I think it's a great album. So it has a lot of like horns. It gives me like really big Sesame Street vibes, which I
Okay,
kind of
that's good. That's
dig
good.
dug towards it.
This person is a Sesame Street fan, not really a John Legend fan, so that might be the sales pitch I'll have to make, but I'll let her know.
Yeah, I definitely get really like heavy Sesame Street vibes on this, but that's
Sure.
also kid-friendly kid vibes with it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, my favorite
Okay.
dream. Mileage may vary, but if you're looking for a very, very happy sounding record, you can't do any worse than this, I think.
Good to know. Good to know.
It'd be hard pressed to find a better, like happy sounding album.
Okay.
All right. So did you listen to anything else?
No, after kind of a packed previous week, this one was kind of lower key. Also it was the long weekend, so we were doing other stuff. So no, I didn't really listen to anything.
All right. Well then, let's get into video games, where we start with
Yes.
new releases, including some big names right off the bat
Yeah.
with Ace Attorney Investigations Collections for the Switch, Astrobot for the PS5. This is the
Yes.
standalone game based off of the demo game that came with all PS5s.
So I am shocked that you didn't wait for this one because this is the big release this week. Like it may be exclusive to PS5, but this is the game that people who know video games are most looking forward to. This is a game of the year contender. Like you are downplaying how important Astrobot is to so many of us. This is going to be a $60 game I'm going to purchase. Like I'm buying this. This is going to be the first PS5 game I bought in
You don't
God,
count
how
Fortnite,
long?
right?
Well, Fortnite you don't have to buy, so
Exactly.
I don't remember the last time I bought a PS5 game, but I'm buying Astrobot because that's how good this looks. It is like 3D platformer. It's so much more than just based on that demo. It is a fully fleshed out, like they're talking about this being the size of like a Mario Galaxy.
It's 160 different PlayStation-esque
Yes.
characters stuffed within it.
And yeah, and that's the thing. And it ranges from all the generations. They confirmed today that Crash Bandicoot is there. Even
Somewhere.
post, they made some sort of deal,
Yeah.
even post the Microsoft thing, and still got Crash in the game. Because of course you have to. He's PlayStation. Like when you think PlayStation, you think Crash Bandicoot. So yeah, I'm very excited for Astrobot. I will be talking about Astrobot next week. So because I will again be buying this game.
I may be I may be
And I'll
buying
try,
it.
yeah, maybe I'll try to sell you on it next week, and then you'll determine whether you think it's worth it.
Well, I don't know, because it's like I'm feeling it's like PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Essentials,
Sure.
come next month.
Yeah, it'll eventually be there, but I ain't paying for that expensive crap. But I'm gonna pay once for a game I'll get to for
Pay
have
once for
forever.
yeah.
It seems like a better deal, honestly, than paying for a bunch of stuff on PlayStation I'm never gonna touch. Especially
Speaking
another game
of
we'll talk about in a second.
speaking of paying for a bunch of stuff that you're never going to touch, NBA 2K25 out everywhere, wide release.
Yep,
That is your big
basketball.
release. That is your wide release. If you got it, you can play it. It comes out the month before basketball starts.
Yep, basketball here. 2K's out. You can play basketball now. Have fun.
Yep. We also have Sunsoft is back. Retro game selection for the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and the Switch.
I guess it's a lot of old Sunsoft games. I wish I could name you a Sunsoft game right now. I can't. They probably
That's
have
okay.
some relevant franchise. I just can't think of it right now.
They have a hit,
Master Blaster, is that them? I think they
uh,
made Master Blaster.
maybe. Oh. We also have Gimmick 2 for the Switch and the PC.
I wonder what the gimmick is.
Well, whatever it is, they did it again. We also have Age of Mythology, retold for the PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X.
Yep, a remake of the PC game, which, as the name implies, is like Age of Empires, but what if there's gods and goddesses?
Mhm.
So,
And lastly, your true big release.
no.
The casting of Frank Stone for the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
Get your horror anthologies out.
Yep, horror
They're
stuff
there.
happening. Yep. I know this is more your wheelhouse, but trust me, everybody's gonna forget about that. Everybody's gonna remember Astrobot.
All right, we're gonna
Anyway,
go right into video games, and we're gonna
yes.
go with failures at launch for these two games.
Yeah, I guess
And we're
so.
gonna start with the second story here. Bungie has reportedly fired former Marathon director Christopher Barrett after misconduct allegations by female staff members.
Yeah, this comes after the on the heels of the basic like massacre they did to Bungie about like cutting off a project, laying off a lot of staff. People were wondering what happened to Christopher Barrett specifically, but turns out that he had been axed prior to all this happened. It was just being kept on the hush hush until something got released from the courts and this was able to go wide.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's an unfortunate answer to that question because obviously, it paints this person in a much different light than it would have if we had just heard that he got laid off. So, yeah, apparently this is the result of a lengthy period of like
Investigation, legal
investigation
battles.
that happened within the studio that led to his ouster. Well, good news that he's out, I guess, now that we know. Um, I thought I had three stories here. Give me 1 second.
You did. I took it out because
Oh, that's
it's
right.
over in movies.
That's right. You moved to the movie section. Never mind. So
That
there's just two stories.
Yeah, there's just two stories here because the second one, and arguably the biggest one,
Yeah.
got the announcement today that
Yeah. I don't know what it
Sony
is with video game stories dropping the day that we podcast, but this is the second week in a row.
is very helpful. But Sony has officially told its staff, its developers, and its 26 players that they are taking Concord
Ouch.
offline.
Okay.
They are
So,
ceasing sales. They are
yes.
offering refunds. They are shutting down the servers. They are writing off $200 million game that took 8 years to develop
So here's the thing.
out of it.
It's not done forever. The studio seems to say, or at least seems to be claiming right now, that they are going to do some retooling, take it, really figure out what they need to do with it, and then relaunch when they're ready. But yes, the game that was released as Concord, there are retail copies of this game that you can still go out and buy if you're somebody who likes a collector's item. But if yeah, that game more or less will cease to exist, and anybody who bought it will get refunds. It's really worrying. One for Sony, who this keeps happening to. Two, it's worrying for um, live
Pre-orders,
service games.
live service
Yeah,
games.
live service games like Concord that are trying to make an impact and try to do something in innovative and unique. Concord's whole bit was, oh, we're going to do new story CG like cutscenes every week, and the story is going to keep going, just like a serialized television show. But apparently nobody cared. Yeah, and of course, if you looked at that launch week, it was dire. Steam concurrents only hit about 600 and something people the first night, which is not normal for a game that's supposed to have a big multiplayer component to it. And apparently, retail sales weren't hot either. I saw a number that was floating around today that said it sold maybe only around 25,000 copies. 25,000 copies. That is nowhere near the budget of this game. It's
Yeah, reported
dire.
$200 million budget over 8 years of development for this game.
Yeah. And
And
I,
I mean,
yeah.
8 years, that's what, 2016?
And I want to make something clear. Like, I'm never happy when a game is bad. I'm never happy when a developer puts out a dud like this. I think it's unfortunate that all these very talented developers worked on something that ended up just not working out. That sucks because they're the ones who are gonna get their jobs cut because the studio was upset. They're the ones that are gonna get under fire from people being like, I can't believe these lazy developers. But that's not the thing. That's the thing is, it's not them. They worked their asses off on this game. I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff in Concord. It's just the studio, the publisher, Sony in this case, had to think at some point, is there an audience for this? And the answer ended up being no. They didn't do enough research. They didn't do enough like marketing, maybe. They didn't do something to help the developers make the game that they wanted to make, they needed to make, were passionate about making. And that's what gives you a situation like this is lack of publisher leadership, lack of understanding about what people want to play right now. And this was not it. This was not it. Um, yeah, it's just disappointing to see. I'm not happy that Concord has failed. But it's a fact now, unfortunately, that now we're just have to deal with the fallout.
No, no, Fallout's a different franchise.
Yes, I know. So yeah, a sad one. But it just didn't grab anybody's interest.
No. Just failure at launch. And yeah, like I said,
A
just
little bit.
less than 100 people, daily active user
Yikes.
returning to
That's
it.
really low.
Yeah, and that's like I said, reported through Steam, not including anything from the PlayStation side. But if you did happen to purchase Concord, they are offering a refund,
Yes.
which is
Thankfully.
nice of them to do.
Yeah, seriously.
And I think what was the number I saw? 11 days active since launch.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah. All
Well.
right. Well, let's talk about some games that you played then.
Yes, I didn't play Concord, but I did actually play some new video games this week. You may recognize the first one as something I talked about when it was in early access a couple of years ago, which is Peglin. You also might recognize Peglin if you watched the Nintendo Indie World showcase from last week. Its Switch announcement was in one of those video packages, and that's what actually got me to check the PC version. And sure enough, the reason why they put it on Switch was because the 1.0 release was last week. So it's out of early access. It's the final product. It is available on Steam for $19.99. And you're probably thinking, what's Peglin? Well, here's the pitch for Peglin. What if Peggle was a roguelike? Is that
Peggle,
yes? Yes, Peggle.
that
Yeah.
Peggle.
What if Peggle was a roguelike? Is that not a good hook? Because it
Yes, it
sold
is.
me. That sold me right there. Yeah, it's a combination of the peg puzzle gameplay of Peggle down to like you're dropping a ball. There's different characters with different like abilities, and you're going into like a series of like holes at the bottom that give you different results. Well, it's that, but with a Hades or Vampire Survivors, if you will, level of roguelike gameplay on top of it. So you're going through a branching map of Peggle levels. You're battling enemies while you're doing this. So you're not going for high score, you're going for damage points. And the more pegs you hit, the more damage you do to the enemies that are on top. On top of that, different pegs have different effects, as well as different balls that you use have different effects. So that's where a little bit of deck building comes in. But your cards are your balls. So your different balls you have because you're collecting over the course of the game. I mentioned Vampire Survivors because the way that you
Mhm.
get new varieties of balls is you select them when you're done with a level, just like Vampire Survivors. It'll give you a choice that you're able to make. Be like, do you want the ball that like say that trying to think of some examples from the game. Do you want the ball that makes your that's really really bouncy and bounces further than the other balls? Do you want the ball that makes all of the balls around it become coin balls so you can buy stuff in the store later? Or do you want the ball that doubles the doubles the damage of bombs that you hit? And so you're making choices and growing your inventory of balls. Yes, balls as the
Balls.
game goes on. And so you're getting stronger and stronger, getting more tools in your tool belt. There's boss levels. Like I said, there's a variety of pegs, like the way that the pegs interact. Some are, like I said, bombs that do a lot of heavy damage to enemies when they're destroyed. There's one that gives you coins, like I said, for the shop. There's ones that give you critical hit damage that basically it's kind of the equivalent to the orange peg and peggle that double your points. It's kind of the
Mhm.
same idea. You hit the critical hit, then all of your stuff gets more damage. So yeah, as you might imagine, it's incredibly addictive because you get that Hades like mentality where you die and you're like, I could do it again. I could just get different. I'll just get different balls this time, and I'll go through and like really just like tear through that boss at the end of this level. So the first time I sat down with it, I finished it. Like this is something I never did with Hades, where the base difficulty level, I just immediately passed the final boss and it gave me my results. But like any good roguelike, now it says, hey, do you want to try that, but a little bit harder? Every time you beat it, it gives you a new difficulty level to try to beat. So I'm on the third difficulty level right now, and that's where I'm kind of not stuck, but that's where I'm kind of like pushing right now is
Mhm.
trying to beat that. But yeah, it's one of those treadmills where you just feel like, oh man, I can do it better next time. I can do it better next time, even better next time. It's just this addictive loop. It's a lot of fun. You're probably thinking, well, $20 seems like a little much for that. That's what I thought initially too, but then I feel like I've got my money's worth like twice over, three times over at this point. I've played it for over like 15 hours already. It's a lot of game in there. And the fact that there are certain branches because it's branching paths, you're not necessarily going to fight the same enemies every single time. You're not going to see the same layouts every time. So yeah, if you like Peggle and roguelikes, this is a no-brainer. Peglin, it's coming to Switch, but it's also on PC. So check it out.
Ooh, coming to Switch. I might pick it
Yes,
up then.
it is on Switch, I believe, already. So you can get Peglin on Switch.
Nice.
It would be a great Switch game. All right.
Uh, yes, because it says release date 2021.
Okay, and I think it was an early access in 21. But yeah, if 1.0 release it is a proper 2024 game now. So, anywho,
Oh, I can
let's.
just get this on Android too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
didn't realize there was
that's where it
more.
is. Switch in August 2024.
Ah,
So it's
okay.
new on Switch, but you could play it on PC and iOS and Android.
There you go. All right. So go check it out. Moving
I just
on.
might.
I also played something that I'll be brief about. Game Pass got me into the open beta for Black Ops 6. So I played some Blops over the weekend and not a whole lot of Blops, just enough to get a taste of the new stuff. So they're going back to movement as being their focus. There you can do these not quite the crazy movement that they did back in the Infinite Warfare days. You remember the fancy biosuit
Mhm.
game that they tried? It's not quite that advanced. It's not Titanfall, but what they are trying is a little bit more movement oriented. You can do like dashes back and sideways now, and they do a tutorial for you when you start the beta to teach you kind of those new moves. They try to make you learn this 180 spin move, but I was having a really hard time mastering that, so I just skipped the tutorial for it. But yeah, all that to say, besides that, there's not a whole lot new here. It's the Black Ops style of progression. So if you played a lot of Modern Warfare 3, like I did recently, there's slight differences in how you upgrade guns and earn new guns. But if you're more of a Black Ops person, that won't be super surprising to you. The new mode that they are pushing is a kind of VIP equivalent. If you've ever played a shooter VIP mode, it
Mhm.
basically means team, you have one person that's kind of highlighted as the VIP that round. You have to protect them. If it's you, you just have to survive, and it rotates when that person dies. Um, so I played a bunch of that just to try it out. The maps that they're putting in the beta, not great. There's one that's outside of a blockbuster style video store. Neat aesthetically, but as a map, it's kind of got repetitive. And ultimately, I went back to Modern Warfare 3 after a handful of matches just because I was kind of sick of the maps. But it's a nice taster. It's just an open beta. It's just for them to test. So when the full game comes out on Game Pass, I'll give it another try when we have the full offering of maps available. I think it'll be way more enjoyable experience. But I like some of the presentation stuff. I like the visuals. Slight upgrade visual wise. I noticed some depth of field stuff and some motion blur stuff that wasn't in Modern Warfare 3. So they are trying to kick up the graphics a little bit more as they do every installment. And it looked good on my monitor and looked good on my 4090, so it'll look good on your computer, no
All right.
matter who you are. So anyway, that's Black Ops 6.
Okay. Um, just been playing more of my football games,
Yep, yep.
rotating, bouncing back and forth between the two. Just depending on what I'm in the mood for, either single player, some franchise mode. Um, and then I kind of stopped doing the Madden Ultimate Team. Someone because I not because I got bored, but because I beat all the timed events. So I'm waiting for more like timed exclusive stuff to appear. So I'm doing franchise mode there.
Mhm. So you're saying you're too good at Madden, and you were so good at Madden that you beat Madden
No,
at its
not
own
that I'm
release
good,
schedule.
just that I played enough of the timed
Fair.
events where
That's
like
fair.
you have like complete all these missions by a certain date, rather than the other ones that are just endless, the non ending specific ones.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. But I did see that as of today, the Quidditch game is free for PlayStation Plus members.
Hmm. Sure.
I may give it an hour's time just to fool around with it. May.
Yes. So if you're wondering why it wasn't in my new releases, because I deleted it from it
Like
because I didn't want to talk about it. But I guess if you're not paying them any money, then maybe it's okay.
I said, I'll may give it an hour. We'll see how it plays.
Sure.
I kind of interested in it, but not to the extent that I wanted to pay for it though.
Yeah, no, no, no one
So
needs that.
if it's free for PlayStation Plus members, I'm gonna give it a shake and see what falls out. Could be an acorn, could be a goose egg, because gooses lay eggs in trees. That's
Wait, what?
into
Huh?
a
What?
living.
What? No, they don't.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyways, yeah. Let's get into television then,
yeah,
and we
from
start.
fantasy sports into real sports.
Yeah, because we start with the sports quarter.
Yeah, not Bryant Gumbel real sports, just I mean real sports.
Yes, this is real with an e at the end.
Really?
We start looking back at this past week with Joey Chestnut beating Takeru Kobayashi in the hot dog eating contest that was sponsored live by Netflix.
Yes.
And Joey Chestnut, having not to compete in this past 4th of July event, also having not to compete outside in the heat, managed to break his own record and eat 83 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
Damn.
That's right. He was under a dog and bun under 10 seconds for 10 minutes straight.
God, that's a lot.
Ow.
Yeah, I
How
can't.
how just to even keep that pace?
I can't imagine eating buns that fast.
Well, let's say you're not really eating the bun.
Yeah.
You're dipping it in the soggy
Gross.
water or whatever like concoction you're using, and then eating that.
Disgusting.
So
So
you're not even
gross.
eating like a bun, like a crispy bun or like a warm bun. You're eating a wet hot dog bun because that helps break it down when you eat it.
Sure.
83 buns, wet, soggy buns. In addition to 83 hot, steaming hot dogs that you
Hot
break and
steaming hot
shove.
dogs.
Yep. So yeah, that was this past weekend. This upcoming weekend, U.S. Open of tennis. The finals will be this upcoming weekend. We're currently in the middle of the quarterfinals, so I'm not going to list 8 names. Well, technically 16 for both men and women. Same reason I'm not going to list the 16 names for the NASCAR playoffs, as those also start this upcoming weekend. We'll tell you who the champion of the U.S. Open is next year. Spoilers, it won't be a repeat because they already lost on both
Fair
the
enough.
men and women's. Yeah, and then as NASCAR continues, we'll get into the Final Four in the end of October.
Okay.
Going over to MLB, we
Yes.
have a new record.
But
Pitcher Chris Flexen, yes, that's his name. Flexen his guns as he
yep.
sets a new record for
Yeah,
the
more like
20th straight L.
yeah, I was gonna say more like flexing the limits of his fans' patience.
More like
More
flexing
like.
his paycheck as he gets paid either way.
I guess so.
As Chris Flexen has set baseball's modern era record for most consecutive losses
Oof.
by a starting pitcher's
A
starts.
pitcher or a pitter, as you have
Pitcher,
written here.
yes. Pitcher's starts. Um, I think his overall record is for this year is like 2-10. So this goes into last year as well. And those two wins were technically because he got no decision going into it.
Okay. Damn,
But yeah, officially 20th straight losses
that's
breaks the
brutal.
tie that he had. But if you had to guess what team he was on, you guessed correctly. He was indeed on the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, who are about to set their own record,
Well,
potentially.
to be fair, they have 23 games to not set the record. So over this next month, the White Sox would have to go 12-11 to avoid tying the loss record, which was set by the
Yes.
1962 New York Mets, who then went 40 and 120 losses.
Yes. But in order to do that, as that number implies, they have to be better than 500 in the next like the next
Month,
23 games,
the
which
last month
is
here, yes.
yeah, which is very unlikely for a team that has struggled to be anywhere near there.
They are currently on another 13 game losing streak.
Yeah.
Okay, it's their second longest losing streak of the season because they had a 12 game losing streak in May. Then they already had a 20 game losing streak, which we covered in June or
Yeah.
July, June into July. And now they're on their very own next losing streak, currently at 13 games and ongoing. So we
Yeah.
could see a record here.
I just have a hard time believing they can do this, which means I do believe we will see a record because they can't play consistent baseball. They just can't for the life of them figure it out. And I don't know what's happening.
I'll tell you what's happening. They are losing so bad this year that come the start of next year, you put all the money you have on the White Sox making the playoffs because they're following this exact same blueprint that the amazing Mets did in
Sure.
1963, where they lost all the games before and then ended
Right.
up winning the World Series the very next season.
Now, let's not go and accuse them of tanking because there are rules set in place for them not to do this on purpose. So it must be
Yeah,
just that
but
they're
has this ever
naturally this
happened
bad.
to the White Sox before, where they've been accused of tanking?
I don't know. It sounds like something sounds familiar to me.
I
Can't put
mean,
my finger on it.
out of nine players, you'd have to have eight, at least eight of them,
Uh-huh.
eight out of nine players out on this supposed tanking scandal.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
You know,
Anyways, but yes, it looks bad, is what I'll say, and I don't think it's gonna get any better. Will we get a all-time record out of this? It's very possible, is where I'm at right now. My gut says it is very possible, and we could know very soon.
we could know within
Yeah,
three
within a handful
weeks.
of games, yeah.
Handful of games here.
We'll
Two
know
weeks
if they're
probably.
out of range for this very soon here.
Yep.
So
All
we'll
right.
see.
We will see. Um, College football continues to happen, and
Yep.
FSU continues to shit the bed. Once ranked in the top four, they have now lost two straight games to make the quickest fall out of the AP top 25 in record time and in national coverage too, I add,
Mhm,
because they
mhm.
started against Virginia or Georgia Tech in Dublin for that opening game, and they lost this past weekend to Boston College. So FSU just massively shitting the bed. But even though they started 0-2, there's still this really, really shiny new thing at the end of the light, which is the 12 team playoffs that the current college football will have this upcoming season,
Yeah,
or this season that they're in. So there is a chance for them to indeed make the playoffs come end of the year, having started 0-2. So watch this space
we'll
for
see.
this.
We'll see.
But hey, that's not what we're here for. It's time. I actually had to say goodbye to someone awesome this past weekend
Ah,
because I told him that I would not be there for him for the next 3 months, that my time, attention, and energy will be diverted elsewhere. And he was very not understanding at all
no.
for a 1 year old.
No, turns out.
But it is time. Say goodbye to all your loved ones. Say goodbye to everything that you know. It's football time.
Yeah.
NFL will begin this Thursday, where the Ravens will play the Chiefs, uh, wherein the Chiefs will raise the banner, get their rings. Travis Kelce will fall to one knee, not
Uh,
because he's injured. Hopefully,
Patrick Mahomes' wife will somehow double down on her Trump stuff, and it'll be embarrassing for everybody.
she's already wearing red, so she can sneak it right in.
Ugh, yeah, I don't know if you saw any of that, but yeah. Anyway,
Anyways, yeah, big spectacle this Thursday night. Not to be outdone by the big spectacle, the next night, Friday night, as the Eagles and Packers will play in Brazil.
oh,
And if you've not been following this, uh, I'm sorry, it's funny to laugh because the NFL basically told them at the beginning of the year, you're going to play in Brazil week one, and that the players, at least one of them, opted out and decided not to go with the team. Because one, they're playing in Brazil. Two, they tell you that they're playing in Brazil. And three, they are not allowed to leave their hotel for any reason other than
hmm,
practice and the game
hmm.
because they're playing in Brazil.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So needless to say that the players are on edge for this game. All eyes will be on this game, and they got to come back from Brazil to play the next week.
Yikes. Also,
So
I don't know if you know, saw this happen. But because of some stupid court decision involving a really dumb thing that Elon Musk said, Twitter, aka X.com, no longer a thing in Brazil. All the Brazilian users got their accounts suspended because they shut down the social media site in Brazil last week. So there will be no X coverage from Brazilians of this happening. So it might as well not be happening. Like where who's gonna like post about this? The Americans that are there? It's weird. It's a weird one.
That's when you get an international SIM card. I mean, I'm not telling anyone how to use or not use their internet data, how they should seize the moment.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know.
No,
Do you?
no,
You do you, boo boo.
yeah, yeah. Fly your own ship,
Sure.
raise your own mast.
Flying ships. That's what they do in Brazil. They fly them.
I assume that's what they do.
Anyway, so yes, football will be played in Brazil, whether or not
Yes,
anybody knows or not.
and whether or not people will be able to watch it,
Yes,
because that goes right to our main story.
right. Which moves us out of sports and into television. Oh boy. Okay, where do we even start with this? Disney and DirecTV are at odds, and this is not the first time this has happened. Disney often fights with their television providers. Sometimes it's cable operators, sometimes it's dish operators like DirecTV. This time, the latter, DirecTV, has blacked out Disney's channels, including ABC and ESPN, among the rest of their offerings. The channels went dark shortly before the high-profile LSU USC college football game and in the middle of the US Open tennis tournament. The NFL season kicks off in 1 week. A year ago, Disney's channels went dark for 2 weeks for Charter Spectrum customers, which we covered, in a high stakes dispute that Charter framed as being about the future of pay television. That's their quote. Ultimately, the two sides cut a deal that made Disney Plus and ESPN Plus available to Charter Spectrum subscribers at no extra cost, but also saw Disney agree to cut loose some of its cable channels from the provider's lineup. Charter is the largest pay TV provider in the country with about 13 million customers, while DirecTV is not far behind with about 11 million customers. You're probably wondering, how did they make up for lost ground? Well, a handful of years ago, they launched a streaming option for
Mhm.
DirecTV where you didn't have to have a physical dish. This gained a lot of popularity for their service, including me. I had DirecTV stream for a hot second, and it's a very good service. It just got a little too expensive. But yeah, this is bad news if you are into sports, because yes, a lot of different sports are going to be cut from you, with ESPN being cut and ABC being cut before the football games. So yeah, the fans are going to be angry. People are going to be calling DirecTV to patch this up, and they're going to have to figure something out fast.
And I think that we're just going to see exactly what Disney did last year, where
Yeah.
yeah, you lost the first week, you lost the second week of college football. You're going to lose this coming week, but come Monday Night Football, they will strike a deal in the 11th hour, probably the morning of, to say
Yeah.
you signed a deal. You can watch Monday Night Football on ESPN if you have DirecTV, and then asterisk something else like what they did with Spectrum,
Right.
where you can use Disney Plus Basic with ads for no extra cost.
Yeah. We'll see if they make such an offer, but that's up to Disney, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it is also DirecTV could just accept Disney's deal. Disney could make a deal. It's hard to argue on
Yeah.
which side you're on with this when we're gonna lose either way. So,
Right. No matter
or
who.
also because we
Yeah.
don't have DirecTV, either of us, we don't really have a horse in this
No,
fight.
we don't, but a lot of people do.
Yes,
Oh,
11
so
million of them roughly
right.
have a horse in this, have a dog in this fight, a horse in this
Yes.
race, uh, a parent in this bickering.
Something like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, we will keep watching the story and we'll report back if movement is made, a deal is made. But for now, we'll see.
we will see.
We will see.
But in the meantime, we keep watching TV.
Yes, we do. Um, Christy and I watched a new adaptation on Netflix of a popular mystery novel series called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is a co-production, I want to say, with a British studio. This is I think it's a Sky thing or maybe BBC thing. Anyway, it is a pretty much the name tells you what it is. It's a mystery kind of murder show about a teenage girl who finds herself investigating the death of another teenage girl several years prior. And as you imagine, as these things go, she gets slowly involved in the machinations of what led to this woman's death or this teenage girl's death. I get to be more specific, and all the seedy kind of places that she went, the stuff that she may or may not have been doing that maybe got her involved with people she shouldn't have been involved. Whether the boyfriend, who is also dead because of suicide after this happened, whether he was the murderer or whether he's innocent, et cetera, et cetera. If you like that kind of show, and if you like, then this is what that is. Except because they're teenagers in high school, you get just enough of that euphoria, like glitter sprinkled over it, that you also get teenage debauchery. They go to a rave, there's parties, there's underage drinking, there's, you know what to expect.
Mhm.
So it's kind of both of those things. So if you want your murder mystery show combined with your teen debauchery show, Girl's Guide to Murder is that. So yeah, it's on Netflix. There's only a handful of episodes, so it's a short watch. So if that sounds appealing, check it out.
So it's not split seasons, it's just short episodes.
There might be more later, because like I said, it is, I believe, based on a series of books.
Okay.
Also, fun fact about this, if you're a video game person and you are especially a fan of the Life is Strange series, apparently this author of the books is a big fan of Life is Strange and has sprinkled references and Easter eggs to the games and the game's characters in her books.
Hmm.
I haven't seen a whole lot of it, but just on its face, a teenage girl solving a murder is very reminiscent of the original Life is Strange. And
Yes.
there's a lot, so there's parallels already that you can draw. And a game series that also is not afraid to kind of discover, like, go into the darker side, the party side of high schoolers. So yeah, if you like the Life is Strange games, also maybe check this out. It might be in your wheelhouse.
Unless you didn't do so well in episode 2 of Life is Strange.
Sure, maybe. Depends on how that went. Anyway, speaking of, we're
uh,
about a month away from the new one, which is
Life is
very
Strange 2.
exciting.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or
or
3
no,
or
not
whatever.
two. Two came out a long time ago. I had not played
Yeah.
two.
Whatever.
No, technically it's four, because there's
Yeah.
the
True
prequel.
Colors.
Well, True Colors. Yeah, there's one, two True Colors in this.
Yes.
So yeah, but it is a proper sequel of sorts to the first game because it involves the main character, Max,
Max Caulfield.
as older as when she's older. So yeah, I'll be picking that up too when that comes out. So look forward to that.
All right.
But yeah, that's all the TV really this week. You mentioned pre-pod. Yeah, we're watching
Only Murders in
Only
the
Murders in the
Building.
Building. It's season just premiered. We'll talk probably more about that when it wraps.
Yes. Because Murder Mystery Weekly.
Yes, exactly. All right. That will do it for thoughts then. We'll move into some cancellations and renewals.
What am I no longer watching?
You're no longer watching Dead Boy Detectives on Netflix. Sounds like another murder mystery show. That was canceled after just one season on the service. So that will end after one. You may still be watching City of God: The Fight Rages On, which will get a season 2 on HBO. But sadly, we do have to talk about a handful of deaths. First thing, in the world of sports, there was a especially rough one. Two very young hockey players unfortunately lost their lives this past week. Matthew Gaudreau, age 29, and Johnny Gaudreau, 31, played for the Islanders and the Blue Jackets, respectively. It was what was some sort of like a vehicle accident. They
Traffic.
got hit.
Yeah. They were riding their bicycles in the morning.
Bicycles, right?
Car made an improper U-turn and hit them, collided with them, killed them.
Mm-hmm.
The story gets sadder with
Yeah.
the more details about not only these players, of just one, brothers, two, it was their
Mm.
sister's wedding weekend,
Mm.
and
Ugh.
three, Johnny Grudeau um, had a child this past February.
Mm. Yeah.
Second child. First one was in 2022. So two young kids. It's just rocked the hockey world. Devastating news. I
Right.
saw it on my feed, and just everyone's like, just tears, shambles, chaos.
A- And it was beyond the hockey community. Other sports had moments of silences in their games. I know the Angels did before one of their games this last week. The sports world as a whole, I think, was really affected by this story and wanted to honor these yeah, just so young, just and so much a career ahead of them, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
like that they just won't see. And yeah, and a family that just yeah, it's really sad if you start thinking about it too much. So I'm gonna end there. But yeah, yeah, obviously my hearts go out to the families and the
Mm-hmm.
players and the teammates that, are really after this, I'm sure. Right before hockey season starts very soon. And so you'll see probably more tributes to them in when the season starts proper.
Yeah, you probably see patches, especially for the
Mm,
Blue Jackets.
yeah.
Johnny Grudeau was one of their captains,
Oh, oof. Yeah.
one of their leaders on the team there.
Yeah. It's rough.
Like chose when he got free agency after playing for the Devils, specifically chose to go to Columbus, a team
Yeah.
nobody really wants to play for. It
No.
helped
Yeah.
revitalize hockey there, so
Yeah.
that's a
But
tough one.
But
But
yeah, hopefully, they'll keep the torch lit and and they'll
mm-hmm.
do it. They'll play hard,
Yeah.
in honor. Anyway, we also have a death in the music world this week. Rapper Fat Man Scoop, age 56. I believe he collapsed on stage during a performance, which
Well,
is a rough way to go. Um, Known for his work on songs including Be Faithful, Lose Control, and It's Like That. Um, from people who are in the scene, he was a well-respected rapper and will be dearly missed. So there you go.
yeah.
All right.
Most people know him as, yes, that Missy Elliott, Lose Control
Yes.
rapper.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Yes.
probably where you've recognized his voices first.
Right.
It,
Chrissy, Chrissy and I, every time we hear that song, I told her, I told her one time we were listening to that song that the instrumental sounds like a skeleton climbing a ladder.
yeah.
And so now we do that every single time that comes on. Anyway, uh, sorry, some levity to counteract all this
Yes.
sad stuff. Let's move into the last section of the show today, which is movies. And we always start the movie section with the weekend box office numbers. And your number one movie again this week is Deadpool and Wolverine, meaning that it's 15 million domestic this week. Puts it right on that $600 million domestic mark. So it did it. Made it to 600.
How? Why? I don't know, but
People still see it. It's still
people
there.
will still see it. It is the only Marvel movie coming out this year.
Yep, yep. Number two, Alien Romulus with another $9 million this week. That's at 88. That might not make it to 100, sadly.
It might limp to 100,
Maybe.
maybe.
We'll see. It needs a little bit of a kick
Yeah.
or some weak weekends coming up, but we'll see. Number three, Twisters with another 7.6 million. That's at 258. Still a performer for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Number four, your debut this week, Reagan. Yes, about the president, with $7.6 million in its debut. Not great, but also
No.
probably not a high budget movie, if I had to guess. And wrapping up to your top five is It Ends With Us with another $7.4 million. That's at 133. A solid, respectable number for that kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
Your weekly update on the current status of Inside Out 2. It continues to make money. It has made another $2.7 million this week, which puts it at 650 domestic and 1.668 billion worldwide, which is a crazy high number.
Yeah. In fact, that $1.668 billion means that Inside Out 2 has officially passed The Lion King.
2019.
2019 version, to become the highest grossing animated feature of all time.
Yes, and unlike The Lion King 2019, it is actually fully animated, so it qualifies. But yes, congratulations to Inside Out 2. It is now your king, like it or not. I saw a little bit of a discourse this week saying like, is it that good though? And that's the thing, is it doesn't need to be that good. It's going to be the record holder regardless of whether you like it or not.
Yeah, just like Avatar and Avatar
Yep.
2. $2 billion
Yeah.
record movies. Doesn't matter if you like them or not. They're
Doesn't
$2
matter.
billion films.
So yeah, do you think Inside Out 2 has an outside shot at the 2 mark? Because that's the next hit.
No, because it's already out on Disney Plus. The fact that it even reached
Yeah.
here and got 2.7 on the weekend when it's out on Disney Plus, uh, I
Yeah.
don't think so. There's other more
Yeah.
markets for it to open.
But it does though potentially as a project have the opportunity here to make over $2 billion total, because when you marketing, not marketing, merchandise and video sales, it
Hmm.
will likely pass that number.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of money for one thing. That's for sure. All right, moving into new releases for the week. Your big release is Beetlejuice, the sequel to, well, I can't say it a third time, so you're just gonna have to figure it out.
Well, see, I can
Um,
say Beetlejuice because I didn't say
yeah, you
it.
didn't say it, so
Yeah.
thank you. But yes, that is your big release this week. Everything else got out of the way. So you're seeing a movie this weekend, it's probably that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into some movie news where we have an update about Annapurna, the studio that usually makes movies, but as sometimes publishes video games. And it just
Yeah.
so happens that they're putting on both hats at the same time this week.
Well, they're partnering for both hats.
Sure, yes. They have announced a partnership with video game studio Remedy Entertainment to co-produce and co-finance the development of Control 2, the upcoming Remedy sequel to Control. They will also develop and produce the Alan Wake and Control franchises, both created by Remedy for film, television, and other audiovisual formats. Podcasts, perhaps? Creative director Sam Lake, and face of the studio, wrote, I'm absolutely thrilled by this opportunity to expand the story of Alan Wake and our whole Remedy connected universe to mediums beyond games, and to build all of this in close collaboration, games, film, and TV, and other mediums as well, as one unified vision. I trust Annapurna are the perfect partner for us to make this dream come true. So, Remedy Entertainment will still publish Control 2 itself. It will not be published by Annapurna. They will just be helping with the development,
Mhm.
and is currently working, quote, full steam ahead, unquote, on that game. So, that's pretty much good news all around, especially if Sam Lake is involved. He's kind of the guy. He's written a lot of these games, he's directed these games, he's his heart and soul in this universe. So the fact that he is going to be working with Annapurna on all of this is what you want. Because if there's going to be a TV show based on Control or Alan Wake, you gotta have Sam Lake involved, or else it's not truly in that universe. And it will help it to feel connected and as a piece. He and this is not super surprising with for people who have played a lot of his games because they
Mhm.
are very indebted to television. Like um, most Remedy games have a live action FMV, if you will, component um, around them. Sometimes you just like watch entire television shows that they created within the game on TVs in the world. So this is the least surprising thing in the world. It gives him more power to do stuff like that and put it on a streaming service like Netflix and have a lot of people watch that and maybe get people to play his games too as a result. It's a win-win scenario.
Yeah, and the Annapurna brand being attached to it
Yeah.
definitely helps it because I'd say like for at least for us here at Beatable Podcast, Annapurna and are right up there with A24 in terms of the type of quality
Yeah.
product that they constantly put out.
And it's a perfect tone match too, because the stuff the Annapurna makes, especially like their horror unit,
Hmm.
like matches perfectly with something like Alan Wake, which has such a horror element to it, and a supernatural element like that exists in both Alan Wake and the Control universe. So it's really a no-brainer. It's really smart. This is one of the smarter collaborations I've seen in a long time, and also a really good time. The iron is hot right now for video game adaptations. So if they get stuff out soon, like this is going to be perfect timing.
It's also really hot right now for ARG content. They
Yeah.
want to expand it to film, TV, other mediums, and something like that with Annapurna Interactive,
Yeah.
possibly doing something in the mobile space to help with that.
Yeah.
Put that together. Do something collaborative with you watch it on TV, play it on your phone. Snap something on the TV, it links to the phone. QR codes will be everywhere. I can just feel it.
Yep. So look forward to that. Sure, we'll hear more news as it comes out from both
Yes.
companies.
Yep.
But in the meantime, that'll do it for movie news, and that'll do it for the Media Boat podcast. That's it for
Ooh,
this week.
one thing, real quick.
Yes. Mhm.
I did end up watching Mad Max or
Furiosa.
Furiosa, Mad Max prequel.
Okay, brief thoughts about Furiosa.
I wished I watched it in theaters.
I told you.
I know you said that.
I told you you'd regret it. I
I
said you
regret
should
it.
see it in a theater because it's going to be not the same thing when you see it on streaming.
I regret it. I was watching it and I'm like, I can't look away. I'm
Mm-hmm,
just watching this.
mm-hmm,
I'm involved in
mm-hmm,
this.
mm-hmm,
I don't
mm-hmm.
know how you did it. I because like I was gonna put it on passively and be like, okay, I'll put it on. I'll got other stuff to do, and like I'll watch it, I'll listen to it, but every single frame,
Yeah.
every single moment just kept pulling me in. I'm like, okay, I see what's gonna happen. Like, oh, what'd you do over here? Oh, I know what's gonna happen. Wait, what'd you do this time? I just kept pushing, I just kept watching it. It
Yeah.
was like, even though it's a prequel, and I kind of figured where it was going, it still managed to surprise me, still
Yeah.
managed to look really, really good. And yeah, I
It's
regret not watching it in the
yeah,
theater.
it is one of the best movies of the year, period. More people need to watch this thing. I know that a lot of people are like, oh, it's not as good as Fury Road. Dude, nothing is as good as Fury Road, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't watch Furiosa.
Yeah,
It's still great.
it's
Well, I'm
good.
glad you enjoyed it,
Yes, I
even though you
really
watched
enjoyed it.
the
You're right.
downgraded version. No, I'm
Ooh,
glad I got to see it in a
we'll,
theater. I
we'll
think it
talk
was worth
after,
it.
but I maybe we'll talk after. I'll talk about downgraded version.
Fair enough. But yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No. That's it for this episode then.
All right. Sounds good. Let's wrap it up. Thank you for joining us this week on the Media Boat podcast. We will be back next week for another episode of all sorts of stuff, more thoughts, more news, everything. So tune in for that. Where can you tune in? You ask. You can see us in video form on YouTube. Just search YouTube for our channel, Media Boat Podcast. You can also find us on podcast services in audio form, such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Media Boat Podcast. You can also find us on the web in a myriad of locations. You can find us on our website, mediaboatpodcast.com. You can find us on social media, like the aforementioned X or Twitter, on at MediaBoatCast. You can find us on Blue Sky. Search Podcast as well. Welcome all the Brazilians who went over to Blue Sky after Twitter got shut down over there. Apparently, 1 million new users added to Blue Sky the day of. So congratulations. And yeah, you can also find us on twitch.tv/MediaBoat, where Mike will continue to playing football in all its many forms. And maybe no, probably not. I was gonna say maybe you'll see me play some stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. Um, maybe Astrobot.
Maybe.
Maybe I'll pick a day to do some Astrobot stream next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else? And then you can email us. Mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com is the email address where you can ask us questions, give us feedback about the show, and we'll read it here on the show. So hey, what's not to like? So with that, we'll leave you guys this week and we'll be back next week for more.
We'll be back with more news, more thoughts, more of us. Okay, bye.
All right, bye.